Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and this is my delayed review for Naruto chapter 654. Now, like I said last night, I had some audio issues, so I had to redo the review today. But I ended up putting some extra effort into it to try to make it worth the wait. So, for like the 10 people who who are gonna watch this, I hope you enjoy it. But I'm just gonna briefly go through a summary of the chapter because there's not that much there, and there's just some stuff I want to talk about at the end. But it starts off with Obito. He doesn't take Naruto's hand, which is what I wanted. Um, it's what I wanted. I said it last week, but it doesn't really end the way I want it to. Obito ends up not being taught no jutsu. He tries to choke Naruto. Then there's this weird. This has been going on for a couple chapters now, but it's this weird genjutsu stuff that doesn't make any sense. Um, it's because in reality, Obito he's all the way over here, and Naruto is all the way over here with the rest of the alliance. So I don't know how they got into this genjutsu like world or whatever. I really don't get how Naruto on a whim can control this Genjutsu world and create young versions of Kakashi, Rin, and Obito, and then add Minato in and have them do all this crazy stuff and try and tell him, Obito, you're not the same as you used to be, which is obvious. Literally everyone in the series, including Obito, knows this. So I don't. It's I just I there's no point to it. But yeah, after that Genjutsu whatever stuff finally ends, they win in the tug of war thing. They pull all the tail beasts out. So I guess technically you could view this as the Ten Tails being unsealed, but not really because it wasn't somehow the Ten Tails like separated itself inside of Obito so that the alliance could pull all the tail beasts out individually at the same time. So I'm not really sure how that works. All this is like unconventional. This is not how you're supposed to unseal a Jinchuriki. And usually when a Jinchuriki is unsealed, they die, but this is not your typical unsealing, so Obito might not actually die right now, which I'll talk about what I think will happen next at the very, very end. But Obito ends up being defeated. And he sits there and he's thinking, no, was I really beaten? Was I really defeated? And he starts to doubt himself. And the reason behind this is not what most people would believe. I'm a psych minor, so maybe I'm looking too much into this, but personally, I think it makes total sense. In psychology, there's this term called belief in a just world. I'll read it straight from my psych book, okay? All right, straight from my psych book, okay? So it's a form of defensive attribution wherein people assume that bad things happen to bad people and that good things happen to good people. Okay, so pretty much what it means is that people, just what it said, people think that bad people are going to have bad things happen to them and good people are going to have good things happen to them. And this ties into the theme of Naruto, the theme of the series, and how it's about how there's this fate, this cycle of fate, and it comes around every generation, generation after generation after generation, and constantly people are trying to stop it, but they always fail. And then Naruto, the main character, is supposed to be this guy that is finally able to stop the cycle. Of course, other people don't know that until they meet Naruto. So still, there are a lot of people who are trying to stop this cycle, and Madara, Nagato, Jiraiya, Minato, Obito, Naruto, Hashirama. There are a lot of people who are trying to do this. And because his intentions are good, the way he's going about it is kind of bad. The way he's thinking about it is the ends justify the means. So since his intentions are good, he thinks that he needs to do whatever he needs to get there. Okay, so while Obito's intentions are good, the way he's doing it is bad. But that doesn't change the fact that the ends justify the means approach, that whole belief, he thinks that he's good. He's the good guy and good things happen to good people. He thinks that he will succeed. So now he's in doubt, thinking, was I actually defeated? but I was supposed to win. This was supposed to be the time where humanity was finally saved from this fate. So how did I lose? Was I really wrong? So those are the thoughts that are starting to come into his head now. But that's just the summary of what happens in the chapter. Personally, I didn't like it. Most people didn't like it. I didn't like this chapter, but the thing about it is that my rating for the chapter is not going to reflect how I disliked it, and that's just because I personally am of the belief that just because I don't like something doesn't mean it's bad. Okay, this I guess this chapter of Naruto is a bad example, but look at something like Girls in Panzer, for example. All right, the anime Girls in Panzer. I dropped that like a couple minutes, maybe even less. Okay, but there are people who love that crap. All right, but all right, so just because I don't like something doesn't mean it's bad, because everyone has a different opinion. And while most people share the same opinion about this chapter, I'm not going to treat it as an exception to that rule that I believe. So just like I don't just because I don't like it doesn't mean I'm going to call it. I can consider it a bad chapter just off the bat. Just because other people don't like it doesn't mean I can consider it a bad chapter off the bat. I'm gonna try and be as objective as possible, but right now with Naruto, it's the series right now is in this period of mediocrity, and this is all because of the talk no jutsu of Naruto trying to talk no jutsu Obito, and there are two reasons why that is made Naruto just fall into this period of mediocrity, and one is because no one likes it. Okay, no one likes it, so no one's enjoying it, including me. So our feeling it's we just don't enjoy it. And it'd be one thing if it was just Nagato and Obito, because let's be honest, of all the villains in Naruto, Nagato and Obito are the ones who should be talking to Jutsu. But because all of these other people were talking to Jutsu as well, it gets old. It's been done too often. But even then, talking to Jutsu can still be done well. It's just that this one isn't. Take Nagato for example. Personally, I believe that Pain's Invasion is the best. A lot of people say the Chunin exams. Personally, I think Pain's Invasion is the best. Well, is the best arc in Naruto. And one of the reasons behind that is because of the conversation that Nagato and Naruto have. Okay, because it's not just they're throwing emotions and feelings at each other, trying to say you should do this, you should do that. Remember what you once were. You used to be a nice guy. And they're not saying that. It's a legitimate battle of ideals, and it's not just random ideals either. Like I mentioned before, it has to do with the theme of the series. This is when the theme of the series finally becomes the theme of the series. Jirai had mentioned it before, but this is the first time it finally happens, and the process of that happening. This conversation that Naruto and Nagato have, the deepness and the seriousness of the conversation, just how that battle of ideals that they had, it was good. It was done well. But with Obito and Naruto, that battle of ideals happened earlier, over multiple chapters. A little bit of ideals here, then fight a little bit more ideals, fight some more ideals, fight. That's it. It's already if he did a battle of ideals right now, people would just say the same thing that they've been saying for a while. He's just rehashing the same stuff. He's saying the same. Obito is saying the same stuff over and over and over and over, and that would be that. Okay, so so that's the other reason why this talking jutsu with Obito is just not good, because it's not a battle of ideals. What Kishi should have done is not had any of that ideal stuff earlier on, and just had it focused for here. Either that or have Naruto try and talk no jutsu Obito early on, and then just have the rest of it be fight. Because I do understand Obito wanting to talk, because this is not. Some people actually disagree with me on this, which is weird because it's a fact. It's not something I'm making up. It's not an opinion. It's fact. Kakashi predicted it, and Obito confirmed it. That when he used the Rinnegan, when he used the six paths in order to control the 6 Jinchuriki, and then to control 6 tailed beasts at the same time, he used up a lot of chakra, and now he has to fight against the entire alliance. It's clear, you know. Well, before that it was two-tailed beasts, but still, you had two Jinchuriki, two-tailed beasts plus a couple of Jonin. You know, it's clear that he wants to save his chakra, especially. Oh no, actually, I was gonna say especially if he wants to use Rinne Tensei at the end, but we just don't know what Obito was planning. We really don't know if he was planning on doing that or not. But it's clear that if he wanted to reserve as much chakra as possible, and he realizes that Naruto is a mentally weak character, which he is mentally weak because of the past that he's had, having to go through his entire childhood, having every single human being he came into contact with hate him and glare at him with eyes full of hatred and fear and disgust. Like that obviously has a huge impact on a child. Okay? People like as old as we are, we can deal with that. And actually some people can't. Some people actually can't, but you know, imagine what that would be like for a child, not having any parents and having every single life form hate you. That's that's awful. So because of the past that Naruto's went through, he's mentally weak. And Obito realizes that, and he was trying to take advantage of that, and he does succeed in that. He does talk no jutsu Naruto. That's why Hinata has to come in and snap him out of it, I guess. Slap him out of it. But if Obito sees a chance to eliminate a very strong enemy without using chakra, he's going to do it. So I don't disagree with Kishi's decision to have the Battle of Ideals earlier. But if he was going to do it earlier, he should have had the talk no jutsu attempt right then and there. Then have Obito deny Naruto, then have the rest be fight. Okay, so that's why, because he did all that Battle of Ideals earlier, that's why this talk no jutsu right now is so boring, because they've already done everything required of talking no jutsu. So now it's just emotions and feelings. Okay, and I don't like it. I don't like the fact that Naruto even attempted to talk no jutsu Obito. I don't like the fact that Obito listened for as long as he did. He should have just said no in the very beginning, tried to choke Naruto in the very beginning, but he didn't. He sat there and listened to it all and said, oh yeah, but what about this? Well, what about that? He should have said, screw you, all right? You're what, 16, turning 17 tomorrow? I've been alive for, what, twice as long as you have? You haven't experienced near as many things as I have. You don't know as much about the world as I have. So how are you going to come to me and try to tell me that I'm wrong and that you're right? That's not going to happen. And he should just deny Naruto right then and there in the beginning and have the rest be fight, but he didn't. So I don't like the fact that Obito listened to talking jutsu as long as he didn't. I don't like the fact that the end result is the same. Because while Obito wasn't talking to jutsu in this chapter, he did start to doubt himself, so then the result ended up being the same. I don't like, while Obito is a villain, okay, and so it's obvious he's going to be defeated. I mean, this is shonen, bad guys always lose, all right? And at the end of the day, in the final battle, the bad guys are going to lose and the heroes are going to win. That's how shonen works, okay? But the way he's defeated should be more climactic than this. Tug of war. I mean, that's a lame way to end the fight. It really is. It's a lame way to end the fight. Okay, I'm glad that this tug of war concept wasn't just some random thing that Kishi pulled out of nowhere for the one time he used it when Naruto fought Kurama. But I don't want this to be the way the fight ends. Okay, this is something that either should have never happened at all, should have happened earlier in the series so that he can prove that this wasn't just a one-time thing, or it should have happened earlier in the fight. Either that, or this just shouldn't be the end of the fight. Obito should win over them, and then have him lose by some other way that is actually legitimate, like Madara comes in and he starts to fight Obito, saying, I think it's about time that I took over. Right? Then they have this fight. Then Obito has to fight against the Alliance and Madara. He loses in a somewhat cool way, I guess, as cool as Obito can look. And then that's how the fight should end. But he's not writing Obito's character well at all. Obito had the potential to be a great character. And people hate him because of what they think his goal is. And if you think about it, saying that Obito's goal is the flaws of the world, like getting this fate stuff, it's not hard to believe at all. Okay, it's I named off a bunch of characters before, right? There are a bunch of characters whose goal is this, so it's not hard to believe that another person has that goal as well. It's really not. Okay, it's not hard to believe at all, but it's because Obito keeps having these random thoughts of Rin. The way Kishi is writing his character is awful. The way he's treating Obito is awful. And I mean, if I really wanted to, I mean, there's no legitimate proof that Obito is doing it for Rin, now that I think about it, but the fact that people hate Obito, they're not going to they're going to just assume that he is anyway, so that they have more fuel. If you because the fact of the matter is, if you think about it for a few minutes and you try to be creative, it's actually kind of easy to come up with a counter for pretty much every Rin mention in this Ten Tails revival arc. It really is. Like I mean, just off the top of my head, what's a moment that I thought about Rin? Well, not the, except for the end of the chapter, because with that I don't even know what. There's no context around that at all. He just randomly said Rin, so you can't really say anything about it, positive or negative. But I think the last time he did it was when he was having that mental battle over the Ten Tails, and he was about to lose himself, and then he came back. I mean, if I really wanted to, Pain's Invasion, I think, yeah. In Pain's Invasion, Kakashi, when he died, he had his life flash before his eyes, right? And who did he think of? Obito, Rin, Minato. You know, so is it really hard to believe that someone from the same team thought the same thing when when their life flashed before their eyes? And you can say something like, oh, well, that's him doubting himself for thinking that maybe he was wrong or something like that. But no, the people in that flashback, the people in his team, that was a turning point. Well, not Minato, but that was a turning point in his life. That was when Obito switched from being Kid Obito to I see the problems of the world Obito. So it's not surprising he would think about the turning point in his life, right? So I mean, you get the point, all right? It's not if I really felt like it, I could come up with reasons for everything, all right? But I'm going off on a tangent now. So the thing is that while Obito has the potential to be a good character, he's written badly, and I don't like the way Kishi's writing him. Okay, but there are a lot of things I don't like about what's going on right now. But since I'm a reviewer, I have to be objective. And my opinion, like I mentioned before, is that just because I don't like something doesn't make it bad. So when looking at it objectively, there was one inherently good thing about this chapter, and that was the first 2 pages, which was not really that big of a deal, or first 2 or 3 pages, I guess, when Obito says no and he starts choking Naruto. That little thing was like the only good thing in the chapter. And as far as things that are inherently bad, things that are inherent flaws in the story, there are only 2. Okay, we might not like the talking to Jutsu, but it's not a flaw in the story for it to happen. Okay, there are only 2 inherent flaws in the story for this chapter, and that is the Genjutsu thing that I mentioned before, and the Ten Tails separating inside of Obito and having this unconventional unsealing of the tail beast from Obito. But even then, those 2 things are minor, because, I mean, think about it. Like I said before, Obito is all the way over here. Naruto's and the Alliance are all the way over here. They're not exactly supposed to have a shouting match back and forth, you know? Like, they probably can't even hear each other from that distance. And so I can understand why he did it. As far as the Ten Tails thing goes, even one of my friends was saying, you know, I could kind of understand how that could make sense. Since the Ten Tails is made up of each of their individual chakra, and the tug-of-war thing is not a tug-of-war of mass or something like it's just a tug-of-war of chakra. Since the Ten Tails is made up of their chakra, when they pull the chakra, it's the chakra of the tail beasts. So, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. But, you know, those 2 things are minor. So, the one good thing and the 2 minor bad things, they negate each other. So all I can do is say that this was an okay chapter. It was average. Okay, it wasn't as bad as other people are making it out to be. We don't like it. I don't like it. I listed off a bunch of things I don't like, okay? But this chapter, it's not bad if you look at it objectively. We don't like it, but it's not bad. It's just mediocre. So I'm going to give this chapter of Naruto a 6 out of 10. But that's it for this King of Lightning-like review. Um, I haven't even watched this review yet. That's really it. I mean, next week I'm assuming that unless we get some random focus into Obito and Rin or something like that, next week Madara should show up. Or like if the focus is on Kakashi randomly coming back. All right. If the focus is on Obito, Kakashi, and Minato, and them saying, things could have turned out differently, some random crap like that, then okay. I wouldn't like that, but hopefully Madara shows up next week. My prediction is that Madara is going to take advantage of... My prediction is that Obito isn't going to die, okay? And instead, Madara is going to go to Obito, take control of him, and then force him to use Rinne Tensei. Then he'll die. But Madara will then be revived that way, and he'll try to become the 10 Tails Jinchuriki. Whether that happens or not, I'm not sure, because if it does, then the Alliance is screwed. They're tired and exhausted, and they can't do anything else. And that was just with Obito. Imagine what it's going to be like with Madara. So they would literally have no chance. There's no more help coming anymore. None, okay? If Madara becomes a Jinchuriki, it's over. It can't end well. It can only end badly. If he doesn't become the Jinchuriki, I don't see how Madara can win, because not only do they have Hashirama on their side, but they have all 9-tailed beasts. So there's just no... So I really, to be honest, I don't really see a way that this could be done well. Hopefully Madara surprises me. Maybe he does some like forced stuff to like seal the tailed beasts in the Jinchuriki or something like that. Now, actually, no, he can't become the 10 Tails Jinchuriki because Kinkaku and Ginkaku are officially gone. As soon as the tailed beasts were unsealed, I'm sure Ginkaku and Kinkaku just evaporated away because Kabuto doesn't have Edo Tensei active. So while the 7-tailed beasts are there, and I'm assuming Killer Beast Tentacle is just sitting on the ground, Madara can't become the 10 Tails Jinchuriki without absorbing the 9 Tails' chakra, which he could get from Minato. Now that I think about it, I forgot about that. Actually, yeah, so Madara can become the 10 Tails Jinchuriki. Okay, yeah, so that could work. He uses wood to seal down the tailed beasts. He clears everyone out, because the tailed beasts are the only problem. Everyone else can be taken out easily. He clears them out, uses wood style to seal the tailed beasts, takes out Minato, gets the 9 Tails' chakra, gets the chakra, absorbs the other tailed beasts, gets Killer Bee's tentacle, or just takes Yuki out of the Killer Bee and kills him then and there. Who cares? Becomes a 10 Tails Jinchuriki, then he wipes out everybody because there's no way they can stand up against him at that point. And that's not a... I would love for the series to go down that way and for Kishi to magically come up with a way for it to end well, but yeah, probably Madara will attempt to do that, but they'll end up defeating him before he can. I'm guessing that's what's going to happen, because like I said before, Madara versus Hashirama plus Naruto, Killer Bee, the rest of the Alliance, and the 7-tailed beast is just not... Even for Madara, that's just too much. So, I mean, unless he creates... He can only create but so many clones, because when you create shadow clones, your chakra gets the... you divide chakra between them, so the more clones he creates, the weaker they become. So there's only but so much he can do. So, I to be honest, I don't even know what's going to happen next. I'm just hoping it involves Madara soon. So, that's it for this incredibly long and detailed review for Naruto. Like I said before, it was an okay chapter. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10, and that's it. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.